Spoken!
She is so coy.
I love it!
What if I told you this painting was the most important parts of this game's story? But to understand that, you'll need some context. We all have that one game we played as a kid that stuck with us, and for me, it was Batman Arkham City. Released 14 years ago.
14 years ago?
Coming off the success of Arkham Asylum, Rocksteady knew that they had to top their first success. So what did they do? They made everything bigger. The map, bigger. The explosions, bigger. Batman's bulge, bigger. The hardest part of creating something as successful as Arkham Asylum is having to do it again. Arkham Asylum genuinely became a legend in gaming history, and the ripple effect is still being felt even in the modern day with games like Shadow of Mordor and even Spider-Man. I made a Spider-Man video, go watch it. From the very first second of development, this game was engulfed in the shadow of the Asylum, and that shadow was the size of a monolith. You see, this is my favorite Arkham game, and I'm so excited to tell you why. It isn't the atmosphere, Asylum does that better. It's definitely not how they reused assets, Origins did that plenty, and it's not the graphics, because Night looks like a 6 out of 10 after you're 6 shots deep. Arkham City is the best of the quadrilogy because of the sum of its parts that I'm going to talk way too much about. This game means so much to so many people, me included, and I can honestly say this is one of the best sequels ever made. Now don't get me wrong, there are things this game does worse than the first, but what we gained far outweighs what we lost. And to begin, we need to talk about the most impactful part of this game, the story. What makes a good story? Many of you might say it's characters, some would say the pacing, and others would say the spectacle, but you're all wrong. What really makes a good story is putting Batman in it. There has never been a D1 or a farmer quite like Batman. I still remember being a kid and watching the old Justice League cartoons and cheering for this man every time he was on screen because he was moving around like he had an aura debt and was under threat of an orbital strike if he didn't fucking pay it. But the way this game starts completely flips that on its head. If Asylum was Batman at his strongest, then City is him at his weakest. We start not as Batman, but as Bruce Wayne, who is captured by Hugo Strange. Hugo Strange was such a cool inclusion into this game. Not only is his design quite literally perfect, but his voice. Oh, that luscious voice. I almost want to lose to him. Hugo Strange is not the most known Batman villain. He isn't the least known either, but I absolutely loved his inclusion in this game. In the first game, Batman was trapped in an insane asylum run by a madman. See any similarities here? Yeah, City is pretty much the exact same premise, but bigger. And that's not a bad thing, because that's pretty much where the similarities end, besides this freaky fuck being in the entire game. Batman is captured, thrown into a prison as a civilian unprotected by the myth of the Bat. Of course, after being thrown into this prison, he is captured by Penguin, who was a little salty after we went to the comic book store without him.
See, Amanda, I told you it wasn't a nice thing to do!
Penguin tries to hit us, but of course we counter that shit and break his hand, take out his thugs, and finish him off like a chicken tender. Bryce Wayne climbs up out of the hole he's in and calls Alfred on his watch.
Holy shit, the sleeves go down when he calls him? Triple A, baby!
Billiard Blaine reaches the top of the Ace Chemicals building where we immediately get the new and improved Batsuit. And after we get this suit, we are introduced to this game's world, and what a world it is. Arkham City. The gloomy sky combined with the falling snow serves as a dark contrast to the bright neon lights that are plastered throughout the entire city. No longer are we shackled by the hallways of the asylum. Rocksteady opened our wings both metaphorically and literally. The way you glide through the city makes you feel so powerful, almost like a Seafire LF Mark III. This joke was sponsored by War Thunder! War Thunder is the best modern take at ground, naval, and aviation combat and is now free on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and mobile devices. This game is massive, with over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships from 10 different nations to choose from. They range all the way from the 1920s to your modern stuff that we all know and love. There's literally a game mode for everyone, ranging from your fast-paced arcade mode to your more realistic simulator mode. Did I say realistic? Yeah, this game has some impressive graphics, detailed vehicles with an in-depth customization system, and authentic sound effects to really immerse you in the game. Mama didn't use her credit card to buy you a PC or console? Well, that's okay, because War Thunder got you covered. Yeah, that's right, you there sitting on the toilet watching this video can download the all-new War Thunder app on mobile. You can even use my link in the top of the description and pinned comment to redeem a limited-time bonus pack if you are new or haven't played in the past 6 months for you PC and console people. This includes multiple premium vehicles, an exclusive vehicle decorator, 100,000 silver lions, and 7 days premium account. Well, what are you waiting for? Join the over 95 million War Thunder enjoyers and make your pops proud by downloading using my links in the description and pinned comment below. Not only was the game's world improved horizontally, but it was grown vertically in a spectacular way. We are still trapped in a prison, an asylum. Close enough. While the world has been opened up, we are still confined to this space. Tall, protected walls have been erected around the entire city to keep us in. The only place not surrounded with a wall is the right side of the city, but good luck swimming through the frozen water. frozen water that just leads to the old asylum anyway, which would pretty much just put you at square one. All of this culminates in a world perfectly built for this game. We aren't completely confined like Asylum, but we aren't completely free like a Night. We are somewhere in the middle, a feeling I absolutely love, especially in the context of this game. Overwhelming sense of restriction is a perfect feeling, but enough about how the world makes you feel. What about what's inside of it? Each building laid throughout the city is like a perfectly placed Jenga block in an unshakable tower of world building. Everything is beautifully placed and it all flows together flawlessly. Throughout my entire time in this game, I almost never opened my map. Whenever a mission told me to go to a specific location, I was easily able to fly there because of how well everything is put together and how familiar everything is. Even the atmosphere changes depending on where you are. Near the steel mill, the skies are clouded with a dark orange hue which reminds you of the raging fire within the building. Around Penguin's area is where most of the shops are located and it feels a lot more high class, a lot like the image the Penguin worked so hard to create for himself, which must be hard considering in a crowd he disappears, much like my friend after 8 p.m. I swear I can feel my credit score go up just by being here. Ah, shit, there it goes. Literally from those areas I just showed, if you've played this game before, you can pinpoint them exactly just because of how well thought out and built this game's world is. It is genuinely a marvel of world design, and while I think Asylum's atmosphere slightly edges out Cities, the sheer variety of this game is incomparable. Usually a game strives to make its world pretty and a wonder to witness, but not this game. The streets are literally covered with trash, the buildings are half destroyed, and most of the city is flooded. This isn't a pretty world by any means, but that is exactly what is needed for this game, and it works masterfully. This isn't meant to be a good-looking city. When's the last time you saw a prison and thought, that looks clean? This game is about Batman confined into a prison city that is filled to the brim with criminals. By no means should it have been nice to look at, and Rocksteady understood that mission and completed that shit with 100% synchronization. That's an Assassin's Creed reference for the uncultured. I talk a lot about games ruining themselves by relentlessly seeking this eternal improvement into games' realism and beauty, so much so that we have quite literally lost the plot. Circle Toon said this shit perfectly. When we compare games that go for a more stylized look to the games that focus on making the horse's balls shrink in the cold, it becomes so clear that these stylized games are becoming timeless classics, while the 86th Call of Duty will soon be replaced by the 87th equally as expensive sequel. I love that this game didn't fall into that trap because it didn't need to. The look of Arkham City is absolutely timeless. It's not desperately trying to look beautiful, it's towing that line between a perfect Gothic city and a downright filthy hellhole. Wait, Gothic City, Gotham City. Is that why it's called Gotham City? No fucking way. What I loved most about this game's world was its interiors. Every single interior seemed perfectly crafted for the villain it belonged to. Two-Face's base of operations is a courthouse, harkening back to his time as a DA. Penguin's museum is filled with animals and gives off this chilly feeling. Freeze's GCPD is similar, but his is completely frozen. Joker resides in the Steel Mill, a very explosive and fiery building perfectly mirroring his personality. And on top of that, the dude TLC the entire thing so you never forget exactly who runs this area of the map. All of this fits into a perfectly crafted world, tailor-made for an incredible Batman experience. I've come to love these types of games that don't solely rely on the sheer scale of their maps. The only place that really worked for me was The Witcher 3. Yes, the game is absolutely huge, but every single area is littered with detail and genuine interest no matter where you go. Bartman realizes that if he wants to understand this city he's been thrown into, he needs to find Catwoman because she would have all the information he would need. We make our way to the courthouse that is thematically burned in half, which took me way too long to figure out as a kid, and I'm ashamed to admit that. And entering the courthouse, we find Two-Face holding Catwoman captive. I couldn't imagine why. She could literally burn down my Minecraft house with my dog inside, and I'd apologize to her. I absolutely love how Two-Face is portrayed in this game and series. Something I've seen misunderstood a lot is that Two-Face isn't one person. He's quite literally a split personality. Two sides of the same coin arguing about morality and the right thing to do. And this game fully understands that. In his first introduction, he argues with himself about what to do, which is something I very much appreciated after coming back to this game. He's also voiced by Troy Baker, who apparently voices every single person in this entire game. He also voiced the Joker in Arkham Origins. And what I'm about to say might hurt a lot of people's feelings. I like Troy Baker's Joker more than Mark Hamill's. Put down the pitchforks. I said put them down. I said I liked it more. I don't think he does a better job at portraying the character, mainly because he only did it once, but I did prefer his voice over Hamill. Barnaby jumps down to interrupt the execution and scares like 90% of the enemies on the ground, which was really disappointing because I'd like to have a big fight this early into the game, but I digress. Barkbox does indeed save Catwoman, but he is shot in the process. But before Two-Face can take one of Catwoman's lives away, he is interrupted by Barney Stinson, who strings him up before he can get a shot off. While talking to Catwoman, Benedict Cumberbatch notices a laser on Catwoman's head, grabbing her and saving her life again in the span of 30 seconds. But before she was almost shot, we noticed that the laser had a smiley face, and there's only one person in all of Arkham City that comes even remotely close to Batman's brand synergy. the Joker. Barnacle Boy does a quick change and heads to the nearby church where the bullet came from. When we arrive, we are met by Harley Quinn, who is voiced by Tara Strong this time around, who does just as good a job as Arlene. Harley's character in this game is done so well. They perfectly portrayed her as Joker's loyal number 2, who is in the most abusive relationship I've ever seen. And I've dated a Latina.
Worth it.
Every second she was on screen was a genuine delight because she was played so well and written in such a fun way that I couldn't help but enjoy her screen time, especially as a huge Batman fan. Harley locks us into this game's first Predator encounter, and almost immediately the improvements to these encounters become very evident. In the Arkham series, the Predator sections are some of the most iconic parts of these games, and to me they are the weakest yet strongest part of the series. The more I think about these sections, the more conflicted I become, because from a gameplay standpoint they are way too easy. Your detective vision is just permanent wall hacks, which makes traversing these encounters completely trivial. Now, if we change these encounters to be a lot harder, then that would take away drastically from the power fantasy of being Batman, and that's exactly where my conflict lies. I think there is a possible way to change these encounters to be less repetitive and boring, but I don't want it to be some superficial increase in difficulty because that would just make the game less entertaining. Later in the game, we have to go against thermal sensor enemies and jammer enemies. The former could pretty much just not exist and the encounter wouldn't really change, especially because you can get an upgrade that completely counters them, and the jammers are a nuisance, but they don't make the game more difficult. All they do is just serve as an annoyance for about 1 minute until you inevitably track them down and break the jammer, making the rest of the encounter just the same as it normally is. I don't want to go too deep into it in this video, but Arkham Knight added so much to the stealth and nearly made it perfect, and I just wanted to mention that because I'm really happy about that and glad they learned and improved. It genuinely seems like with every single installment, Rocksteady only gets better. One improvement I really liked was the gargoyles. In Asylum, they were conveniently placed over walkways, and you could pretty much complete an entire encounter just from inverted takedowns. But in City, they are more strategically placed and spread out, serving more as a breakpoint for you to survey the land, then jump down and take people out up close. I love this change, and it made the loop of the stealth encounters a lot more enjoyable. We take down the entire room and save the hostages, but before we head upstairs, we notice a peculiar man with a bandaged face. This man is very important to the Arkham story as a whole, but don't worry, we'll get to that soon. We finally head to the top of the church where we locate the origin of the sniper shot. What the fuck? Joker set up a remote sniper rifle to make the shot without having to be there, and while examining it, Joker himself shows up on the TVs to tell us the place is rigged with explosives, so we should probably get the hell out. But real quick, how the hell did they get these lifelike replicas of the Joker inside of a damn prison city? There's multiple things in this place that confuse the hell out of me. Mainly these lifelike Joker replicas, but also these Harley things in the steel mill. How the hell did they get and or make these things while being locked up in this place? I live free in the world and I can barely string together a YouTube video. We jump out of the tower and proceed to track the Joker using his radio signal where we arrive at the steel mill, the Joker's base of operations. The front door would be too easy, so we obviously enter through the blazing chimney directly above molten metal. Obviously. We traverse the chimney, arrive at a party, crash said party, and head off to save the doctor and find a way to get to the Joker. After a very smooth Predator encounter, we rescue the doctor and build a weapon tailor-made for Hassan. We use this weapon to get out of the room before it was sealed by Joker's men, and this is also where I showed off for my stream a little bit.
You do, but we got one chance.
Look out! Batman's here!
I'm fucking awesome. We make our way back to the main room where we use the gun that is obviously only made for vibrations to open the door above. We grapple up where we meet Mr. Hands for the first time. I beat the fight in one try and grappled up again to finally confront the Joker. But when we do, we see that the Joker has died and we were too late.
Surprise, motherfucker!
After being knocked out by the Jonkler, we achieve my lifelong dream and take control of Catwoman. Much like Spider-Man PS4, the game isn't entirely played through as Batman. There are parts of the story where you take control of Catwoman, and honestly, it works really well here. They flow really well into the overall story and are placed in perfect sidestep moments when it would make sense for Catwoman to get some screen time, which is why it absolutely baffles me that when the game was first released, these missions weren't included in the story, but rather were pre-order bonuses added into the game for everyone after the fact. I honestly think Rocksteady intended to have these missions in the game from the start, but whatever publisher they were under probably told them to make it a pre-order bonus to drive sales. Who am I kidding, it's Warner Brothers, of course they pulled that shit, even though it was gonna get sales regardless, considering it was a sequel to one of the most influential games ever made, especially in the comic genre, but you know, suit's gonna suit. Catwoman in this game is portrayed once again amazingly. God, I feel like a broken record talking about this game, but pretty much every character is acted and portrayed perfectly, so I'm gonna have to keep saying it. I loved how they let her be the femme fatale she should be, something that is even shown through her combat encounters, even though it is probably super unsanitary and tastes like battery acid and nickels. They even wrote the dynamic between her and Bruce really well. Bruce and Selina are my favorite couple in comics just because of how perfect they are for each other, and while I do like seeing them together in most mediums, I love how in this game Bruce is very closed off to Selina, but you can still blatantly tell that he cares for her a great deal. It plays into the whole urgency of Batman's situation very well. You can tell he could see himself with her and maybe even be happy one day, but his mission comes first and he can't make any sacrifices for it. I do wish we got to see the relationship fleshed out more, but these games are a lot like a white-owned massage parlor. They're fun while you're there, but they don't leave a lot of room for a happy ending. When we do meet Ivy, it's explained that they do have a history, which is something I really appreciated. It adds a lot to the overall world building. I just wish Ivy's grudge wasn't for such a mundane reason. The whole reason Ivy is trying to kill Catwoman is because Selina accidentally let a houseplant die or something. I swear to God, Poison Ivy is like a vegan's worst nightmare. Second only to me at a barbecue. Ivy captures Catwoman, but before we can see the ramifications of that, Baxter Building wakes up where Joker explains he is injecting his own blood into our bloodstream, and while Bad Bunny would be okay with the both of them dying, Joker explains that he has also shipped his infected blood all across Gotham Hospital, infecting God knows how many people. So if Barbados doesn't find a cure, not only will he and the Joker die, but countless innocent people will as well, which we absolutely cannot abide. Joker kicks us out of the window where we land surprisingly well and find a phone taped to our chest that Joker will use to call us throughout the game constantly.
Friese's lab must be this way. I'm definitely heading toward the coldest point.
Batman! I just finished Invincible. This guy, David, makes some really good music. I can't wait to see what he does next.
Joker tells Black Samson that Mr. Freeze was the person working on the cure and that we need to find him to get it. I absolutely love this dynamic of two arch-nemeses having to work together. Every time this happens, I get really excited because I love watching them bounce off each other in dialogue and actions. It's a big reason I'm really excited for Man of Tomorrow. I only have one problem with this Joker-Batman team up in the game. It only happens one fucking time. Yeah, from now until the credits roll, this is the only time they work together. I'll talk more about how I would rework the story when we finish talking about it, but the way the game is structured stops it from really exploring this super interesting trope, and I was really sad to realize that this is the only time they ever work together. We do end up finding Freeze's lair inside the GCPD, but he's missing. Taking out Penguin's men inside the room, we interrogate one of them who tells us Penguin captured him and took him to the museum. Okay, that's not too bad, as long as there isn't another thing randomly placed forcing me to go somewhere else first. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Stop doing this shit, gaming developers. I've had to mention this in both of my recent videos. I swear, every game developer is infected with brain worms with a singular purpose in mind. Waste my fucking time. Mr. Freeze being captured is understandable. I can see that making sense in the plot and forcing you to go to the museum. But why, for the love of God, do these jammers exist? They serve zero purpose. They should delete themselves now. I fucking hate this shit in games. Something written into the story literally designed to waste your time. It irks me on a level unheard of, and I'm a Destiny veteran, so I understand this boomerang bullshit better than anyone. I remember them being in the game, but holy shit, as soon as I got to this point after having genuine fun with the story, my mood went down faster than a pair of towers, and I was in a lowered mood the rest of the museum section. Until I saw the shark, then I was happy again. He's pretty cool, I can't lie. Speaking of the shark, he is located inside the museum, which we gain access to after breaking those dumbass jammers. Dino Sour. What the fuck can that mean? Oh shit! When we get inside, we are greeted by a GCPD officer who lets us know that he came in with a team who were captured by Penguin, and our missions become to save them, then rescue Freeze, then finally take down that 5'10" motherfucker. When we get on the ice to traverse to the next area, however, we meet Tiny, a shark that does not resemble his name at all. This motherfucker was eating the same shit Absolute Batman was, because holy shit, he's fucking massive. There's no way this motherfucker is a normal shark. And side note, if this is supposed to be a real museum in Norma Building, what is this room supposed to be? Like, how do you traverse this fucking museum? Because I'm doing it with a fucking line launcher and a raft, and I doubt that the fucking people in that area were doing the same shit I was. And if they were, why? Anyways, we save the cops inside the ice and head to save the ones being held hostage. Blueberry takes down the hostage takers and saves the cops inside the room. We then talk to one of them to figure out what's going on, and of course, by no surprise at all, he's voiced by Troy Baker. I can't escape this motherfucker. We then head to the other side of the museum to find Freeze, where we are met with Mr. Hands Part 2. Apparently him and the one at the steel mill were conjoined twins who were surgically separated, who then went on to work for different bosses. I love this little detail, and by no means was it necessary to the game's plot, but adding these little things into games is what makes them special, and I really liked reading their bios and learning that. After fighting this faction, we finally free Freeze from this frozen fortress where he tells us we need to acquire his suit and the tech within it. So we go to the other side of the museum again and retrieve the tech to jam the gun that Penguin stole so we can get up close and absolutely rock his shit! But before we can finish him off, he blows the iceberg we're standing on, causing us to plummet to what lies beneath. Why is this a bad thing, you might ask? Because Penguin just so happens to keep a roided up turbo zombie down here by the names of Solomon Grundy. And I love it! Literally the first thing I wrote in my notes about him was, he's so fucking cool, and I will stand by that. His boss fight, while short, was really cool and engaging, forcing us to take our explosive gel quickly instead of just punching something over and over again. I still think the freeze boss fight is the best mechanically, but if we're talking about sheer enjoyment, this is my favorite one. The lighting and overall look of this arena perfectly matches Grundy as a character, and Grundy's character is designed flawlessly. They made him look like an actual zombie, which was super cool, and a lot of his design elements reminded me of Frankenstein's monster, which was another awesome aesthetic choice, especially with all the lightning and machines behind him. I also really enjoyed how fucking big they made him. The man is about half the size of your mother, and I loved his physicality. Even better is when you think he's finally down and you go in for the killing blow, he gets back up and starts another phase. Fuck yeah, this shit was cool. We do end up finally taking him down, however, and Penguin jumps in to try and finish us off. A very bold move, considering the corpse of the damn colossal titan is right behind me, but pop off king, I guess. We make short work of him. See what I did there?
Shut the fuck up, loser.
Finally climbing out of the hellhole, we get Freeze back into his suit where he tells us the cure isn't possible to make because making it would require the blood of a man who has been bonded with a chemical for thousands of years.
You don't say!
Who was it?
He didn't say.
An assassin overhears our conversation about the demon and breaks out of her cage to retreat to the League. Quick side note, how the hell did Penguin of all people capture a League of Assassins assassin? Does he have super speed that we don't know about or something? The guy can barely walk properly and his goons seem to have a combined IQ of a Radiant Valorant player. That's right, Dragon Slayer 27, you having a high Valorant rank doesn't mean you're cool, it just means your shower head has atrophied from lack of use. We track down the assassin by following her blood trail where we meet on a rooftop and slip a tracker onto her after hitting a sweet counter. While fighting, however, we are met with Robin. Dick Grayson? It's just Tim. No, I'm kidding. These games actually gave me a new appreciation for Tim. Probably because he takes up most of the Robin plots, but he is still really well done. He isn't in this game long, but for how long he is in the game, he's great. They didn't need to include him. Honestly, it's kind of weird he shows up for 5 seconds then is gone for the rest of the story, but I like how it sets up his DLC and also contributes to the game's world building, making it real and believable. The only thing I didn't like about him was this ugly ass buzz cut. He's not in the military, let this man grow out some luscious locks. You can't let Dick and Bruce hog all the pretty privilege. We tell Tim to leave and track down the assassin to the underbelly of Arkham City, which is crawling with Joker's goons. You said goon. After a long track throughout the sewers, we save a doctor who tells us that she was captured to try and save the Joker. Tax Bracket heads deeper underground where we finally find Wonder City. However, the entrance to the League is hidden and the area is crawling with assassins. Thankfully for us, the Wonder City Guardians act as pseudo cameras. We download fragments of data from multiple Guardians while also fighting off a ton of Latina baddies. I'm 6'4", by the way. The footage then shows us a secret passage, but to open it, we need a sword.
It looks like a sword fits
God,
here.
if only I had a sword. Oh, whoa, would you look at that? Getting through the passageway, we climb out of the sewers where we see a vision of Buster Scruggs' parents.
Quick, someone shoot them again!
Fighting the infection, we push forward and meet up with Talia where we agree to finally undergo the trials to become Raish's successor. Bucky Barnes takes a drink from the chalice and proceeds to have the most aggressive and detailed acid trip I've ever seen. It makes that shit I did in 2007 look like a birthday party. The whole challenge in this place is to not touch anything while you make your way from A to B. If this is confusing to you, just think about what a woman does anytime she sees you. We do complete the challenge where we finally meet Raish, who tells us to take the final step and kill him. We of course refuse, where Raish jumps into a radioactive vat of Mountain Dew and proceeds to throw us into yet another baller ass boss fight. Now, Ra's al Ghul is cool in this game, but I personally don't like him. I don't want to say that this isn't a good adaptation of Ra's, because it most likely is. I'm not exactly the most versed in Ra's al Ghul lore. Hell, it took me 10 years to actually fucking pronounce his name correctly. But in this game, he's very over-the-top, conquer-the-world type, and honestly, to me, that's quite boring for his character. Also, I hate the fact he looks like a random white guy someone found off the street. He seems very cuckoo, which is explained in-game as the Lazarus Pit having its long-term effects on his mind. But personally, I love Ra's the most when he is very calm and highly respectful of Batman and his wishes to not lead the League of Assassins. The way he acts in this game is more so a generic evil villain and less of the cunning and masterful leader of the League that he normally is. One of my favorite examples from this is from this masterpiece of a movie. Batman literally breaks into Raish's castle, and instead of fighting Bruce, Raish calls off the guards and explains to Batman that having a part in Jason's death deeply troubled him and he felt great remorse for the loss he indirectly caused Bruce. This is exactly how I want Raish to be portrayed, but I can't fault this game for not doing that, and that's where the conflict lies. I believe Raish should act a certain way, and in this game he doesn't. I believe in the context of the game he is fine, but I feel like he could have been so much more. Budfuckle Knuckle defeats Raish and takes his blood for Freeze to finally develop a cure and put a stop to all this. But on our way out, we hear from Hugo Strange that Quincy Sharp has been thrown into Arkham City, and we see a perfect opportunity to finally get some answers about this place we've been thrown into. Quincy tells us that he turned a blind eye to Strange's experiments and only had to focus on his campaign for mayor. Apparently there was this shadow organization funding everything, and all Sharp had to do was set up Arkham City and put Strange in charge, something he was happy to do because he believed Gotham criminals deserved punishment and that this was the perfect way to do that and cement his legacy. But obviously it backfired just a little bit.
I know you chose blonde blazer, Batman. I just can't prove it yet.
After interrogating Sharp, Bubble Bitch Bundersnatch heads back to Freeze to give him Raish's blood to stabilize the cure. After Freeze makes the cure, however, he destroys it in front of us and tells us he won't give it to us until we save his wife from Joker. Blue Chew refuses because time is of the essence, causing Freeze to activate his inner beast to defeat us, starting one of the most famous boss fights of all time. First, I'm going to talk about this boss fight, and then we'll discuss Freeze's character as a whole. Deal? Shake on it? Good boy. I've played this game more times than I've kissed a woman. Granted, that was only once, but I've still played this game a lot, so obviously I was painfully aware of the sheer amount of dick sucking everyone does for this boss fight. You see, my job has become reviewing and analyzing these games that I love so much, and I will be the first to admit that on my playthrough for this video, I was very skeptical just because of how large a pedestal this specific encounter has been placed on. I mean, the last time I truly engaged with this fight was when I was like 13, so I was worried that I would see the fight in a more negative light this time around. Yeah, I was wrong. By like a far margin. This boss fight is genuinely one of the best ones ever designed. We spend so much time getting comfortable with the Predator sections, creating this very strong foundation of confidence, until we fight Freeze. Every single tactic you use against Freeze can only be used once before he completely eliminates it as an option. Unless you cheese the electrical shit like I did, but we'll pretend I didn't do that. Now, it is a very simple mechanic, but what makes a good boss fight isn't its complexity. What makes a good boss fight, in my opinion, is challenging the player in a creative way while putting them on their toes and backing them into a corner. This could have easily been a bigger spectacle fight with more combat, but it isn't. It's a perfect deconstruction of what we've been doing up until this moment. You are forced to be creative and use what you've learned so far to defeat Freeze. It isn't a raw test of power, it's a test of your mind and creativity. And what I love about this fight is you don't have to use every tactic. You only need to use around 5, while more than double the options are at your disposal. All in all, this has got to be one of my favorite boss fights in any game. While others have more spectacle and more complicated mechanics, this one perfectly challenges the player in a fun and creative way. While the boss fight was fun, what was really important to me though was Freeze's character. Mr. Freeze has to be my second favorite Batman villain, and every time he is in a live-action project, he has been the most one-dimensional, boring villain I've ever seen, which makes every good adaptation all the sweeter. And this game's adaptation absolutely hits the nail on the fucking head. Mr. Freeze as a character is just a man who loves his wife more than his own life and would literally destroy his body just to try and save her. He is not a bad man, he's one of the best men, who just does bad things. Bad things that he does for his wife, because no one else in the world matters more to him than her. Freeze is portrayed perfectly working with Batman throughout almost the entire story. The only reason he attacks Bruce is because Joker took his wife from him and he would rather fight the motherfucking Dark Knight than risk his wife. Mr. Freeze is a shining example as to why Batman and his rogues are so compelling. At the end of the day, Bruce is the same as his villains. Most of them are broken just like Bruce is. They were only affected in different ways. Freeze is a dark reflection of Bruce's love for his parents and how it has completely changed the trajectory of his entire life. I absolutely love when Batman's villains are portrayed as being a dark mirror to a piece of his own character, whether it's Bane reflecting his brutality or Riddler reflecting his intellect. Whenever a villain is able to be a mirror to a character's traits, it genuinely makes for some of the best storytelling I've ever experienced. And that's what makes Freeze as a character so compelling. When he's written well, and I mean actually written well, he is a shining example of the mission Batman is on. A mission that has defined comics for an entire generation.
I don't want to hurt you. I don't want either of us to end up killing the other. But we're running out of alternatives. Perhaps it all hinges on tonight. I don't know what it was that bent your life out of shape, but maybe I've been there too. Maybe we could work together. I could rehabilitate you. You don't need to be alone. We don't have to kill each other. Let me help you.
Batman as a character, at least in my own opinion, has been wildly misunderstood and watered down a lot. Too often do I see people or writers portray Batman as the super stoic, emotionless hero crafted from Marvel, even though Batman as a character is almost exactly the opposite. Throughout this entire game, we see Batman's genuine care and emotion break through the cowl. Maybe it's subtle with his interaction with Tim, or put on full display later after Talia has been taken, but nonetheless, it's there and you can feel it through multiple points in this game. I absolutely hate when people boil down Batman's character to just being the cool white guy that dresses like a bat and has way too many issues, because Bruce as a character is so much more than that. People like to call Batman a fascist or whatever, which, first of all, grow the fuck up. But secondly, people claim that Batman just likes beating up poor people and does nothing with his trillions of dollars to actually help. Like, yeah, sure, just ignore the countless jobs he's given to people he's met as Batman, or the fact that in the beginning of the game he was protesting Arkham City's creation as Bruce Wayne because he knew it was a bad idea and doesn't believe in just exiling people after they commit a crime. Or, I don't know, the fucking Wayne Foundation? The foundation which funds scientific research for the betterment of mankind. But yeah, let's pretend that doesn't exist. You gotta be an idiot if you think Batman doesn't care about the people he fights. More than anything, he wants the people he's up against to get better. He wants to see them succeed in a real way. He wants to see them be people again. People who can love, people who can be loved, and people who can do the right thing when it matters, just like any of us. I'm just so tired of Batman being seen as super stoic and people completely misunderstanding his character, because fundamentally Bruce Wayne is a man, not of vengeance, but of compassion. Which is not just something he feels for the people of Gotham, but even more importantly, he feels it for his family, which isn't just Alfred. During the story, Tim Drake shows up to try and help Bruce, which Bruce immediately turns down and makes him go back to Gotham, saying that he has everything here under control. But the reality is that he doesn't have everything under control. It's easy to see this scene as Bruce just pushing Tim away because he would just get in the way, but I think it's more than that. In this story, Batman is going up against something he can't fight on a mere physical level. He's been poisoned and he knows there's a real chance he might die. He doesn't want his son there in case that does happen. He knows what losing a parent right in front of you is like, and even though it is logically the wrong decision, he can't keep Tim here in case that happens. Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, and Jason Todd are not just Robins. They aren't soldiers in the service of Batman's never-ending crusade. They are the children of Bruce Wayne, the people he loves most in the entire world. They are people that Bruce would sacrifice his own life for in a heartbeat, and he'd do it with a smile as long as he knew his children were safe. I just wish we had a cool game about the Robins where like Batman died and we got to play as the Robins. Too bad there isn't one. Bruce's decision to go it alone usually isn't the right one, and I see some people call that a flaw in the writing, considering he's supposed to be the smartest person in the room. What people miss, however, is that, like I said earlier, Bruce is a deeply flawed and emotional man. Of course he's gonna make mistakes. Obviously this time it works out for him because at the end of the day, he is still Batman. Bruce Wayne is the mask and Batman is his true self. This phrase has dominated so much of the overall Batman discussion, which is surprising considering how fucking wrong it is. The notion that Batman is Bruce's true self and Batman is the mask was really popularized from this clip in Batman Beyond.
More convincing.
And second, the voice kept calling me Bruce. In my mind, that's not what I call myself.
What do you call yourself? Oh yeah, I suppose you would. But that's my name now.
You see, there's one small problem with this idea. It makes absolutely zero sense when you spend even a second actually researching Bruce's character. Now, I will say that it makes sense early in his career. When Bruce is just starting out, it makes sense for him to hyper-focus on his life on Batman that he loses Bruce Wayne in the Bat's shadow. But when he matures, when he adopts Dick, then later Jason and Tim, he realizes that he isn't Batman. He is Bruce Wayne, a father, a leader, and most importantly, just a man. When you stick to this idea that Bruce Wayne is nothing more than a mask, a pretend act that Batman puts on when it's useful, then you lose the heart and soul of so many Batman stories. You lose the Bruce Wayne who took Dick to his first date. You lose the father that Jason loves, and you lose the man that Tim grew up looking up to. Batman as a character is nothing more than a man. He is not a larger-than-life creature. He is a son, he is a father, and in some of my favorite stories, he's a husband. To Selena, any of you wanting Bruce and Talia to end up together needs serious counseling. Bruce Wayne is Batman. The man behind these stories is not something Bruce created and then stepped into abandoning his old self. The man behind these stories is Bruce Wayne, a man that was lost but was found again through the genuine love of Dick Grayson. But I think the most iconic part of Batman as a character, the one thing that is most debated when it comes to discussions about him, the no-kill rule. At the beginning of this segment, I used the clip from A Killing Joke, where Batman pleads with the Joker to stop to let Bruce help him. When I started writing this video, I intended to use the clip from Under the Red Hood. You know, the one, all I've ever wanted to do is kill him. Yeah, that one. But as I thought more about it, and what Batman meant to me, and what I knew about the rule, I think that clip doesn't do well to explain the reason for Batman's no-kill rule, no matter how often that clip is used. I swear I see it every other video on Instagram while I'm taking a shit. If anything, I think this clip bastardizes his rule and makes him out to be nothing more than just a rage monster being held together by thread. Bruce's no-kill rule is widely debated. There's the people on one side that stick to the idea that Batman should never kill. Then on the other side, you have idiots and Zack Snyder. But the real debate comes down to why. Why does this lunatic absolutely refuse to kill someone even when he has multiple good reasons? It's because the rule isn't based in some sort of logic. Batman as a character is quite literally clinically insane, and his rule comes from that. Or at least him sticking to it does. I do not think the rule should be betrayed as being there, because if he did kill someone, he would never stop. Because the truth is, the day someone dies by the hands of the Batman dies with them. Hell, in Batman Beyond, he quit being Batman after just touching a gun. Batman doesn't kill because he values human life more than any other person. He knows what it feels like when someone dies. The Batman is alive because of that trauma. If Bruce were to take a life, it would mean everything he fights for would mean nothing. It would mean his belief in the sanctity of human life was all a facade. It would mean that as a man, Bruce has given up on everything he cares so much about. Batman chooses not to take a single life, not because it would be too easy to, but because doing so would mean the Batman has died and what remains is only a monster. Bruce killing someone would reduce him to nothing more than that same man in the alley that fateful night. It would mean he's no much better than the man that took his whole world away with 2 trigger pulls. It's a fundamental part of his character, and if you take it away, you might as well put down the pen and go write a Rorschach story, because if you write a story where Batman chooses to kill, then you aren't writing a Batman story. Batman represents hope for humanity. He represents the undying will of man. He represents our belief that people can be redeemed, that people can change for the better. If we don't believe that, then we are no better than the man who took the whole world away from a little boy in an alleyway. He will never be that man. He will never give up on humanity. The Batman lives because of that hope. And the best example of Batman's rule happens at the end of this game, but I can't spoil that just yet.
Let's face it, Batman is complicated, he's got issues, he's dark, he's got problems, and he overcomes them all, which is what people love about him. But he has no superpowers. That's why I feel so lucky to have started. I mean, this is the first animated role I ever auditioned for. I got the brass ring. You know, it's the most, everyone says, what other superhero would you want to play? And I said, are you kidding? What other superhero is there? I got the best one. I started with the best one. He's so complicated. There's so much meat to bite into with him, you know? It never ends. So I was just really, really lucky.
After our fight with Freeze, Badminton goes to retrieve the cure, but apparently while we were fighting, Harley Quinn stole the cure for the Joker, putting us right back at square one. We try and leave the GCPD, but Joker shoots down a helicopter right in front of us carrying Vicky Vale. Bulbasaur hears over the radio that Vicky is pinned down by snipers, so we rush over to take them out and save her. After we do, Joker calls us and says that shooting down the chopper was a distraction to give Harley enough time to make it back to the steel mill, which means our next objective is to infiltrate the steel mill once again and finally take down the Joker.
Batman, I just downloaded Twitter. They won't stop calling me the Jonkler and asking me why I'm so serious.
Making our way through the steel mill using the technology Freeze made us, we finally arrived to come face to face with the Joker, who looks surprisingly well considering 5 minutes ago he looked like Death's side piece. This boss fight isn't really a boss fight as much as it is just a combat encounter. After we defeat enough enemies, Joker drops rubble on us, pinning us to the ground. But before Joker can finish us off, Talia comes in promising Joker the gift of immortality, which Joker, being the absolute psycho he is, can't pass that up. Before Joker leaves, taking Talia hostage, she shows Bruce that she has a tracker to find her, and as we pass out, we cut to Catwoman to continue her story. Quick side note, how long has she been hanging here? I swear her head should be looking like the damn Tomato-nator with all that blood running to her head. We tell Ivy we need her help to break into the Tiger Vault, and in exchange, we promise to acquire her plant that they stole. Ivy reluctantly agrees, letting us go and promising to help us infiltrate the vault. When we finally arrive to the entrance and go down into the sewers, we see that Ivy opened up the wall leading into the vault, allowing us to get in unnoticed, where we pickpocket 3 guards to get their key cards, open the vault, have a very intimate fight, and finally acquire our belongings. But not before smashing the shit out of Ivy's plant. While we are leaving, however, we see Brendan Fraser under the rubble and choose to save him, because I love him. He's my favorite actor. Go watch Doom Patrol. Catwoman arrives at the steel mill and helps Bumblebee lift the rubble off of himself, allowing us to take back control of Butterball Billy Bitch.
Batman, hypothetically, if I went to the Middle East and became good at basketball, would they call me Osama bin Ballin?
We head outside and call Alfred, where we get a nice moment showing that Alfred really is Bruce's father. We agree with Alfred and reluctantly head off to scan the helicopters bombing the city to try to find a file that doesn't exist, and you're crazy for thinking it does. We find the non-existent file, granting us access to the giant phallic tower erected in the middle of the city. And to get to Strange, we need to climb the shaft and reach the top where he resides, watching over the chaos that he planted the seeds for. Taking down the room full of guards, we finally confront Hugo Strange, where the big reveal happens. You gotta be fucking kidding me. Yep, Ra's al Ghul was behind the whole thing, and I can't help but feel so disappointed. I really hate when there's a story building up a big villain like Hugo and making him the mastermind behind this whole thing, but then reveal it was just another villain. Besides the Joker and Origins, that works, and I will not explain why. After this very lackluster reveal, Strange enacts Protocol 11 using Barbarian Backflip's name as the passcode, which causes Wonder Tower to explode, forcing us and Ra's into a freefall where he stabs himself before landing on a fence post, putting an end to Ra's al Ghul. At least for now. Before we can relax, Joker comes on the screen in front of us telling Billy Bunderlover to get to the theater to save Talia. When this cutscene ends, a mission pops up saying to save Talia and stop the Joker from becoming immortal. I remember when I was younger, I saw someone's video critiquing this game and saying that it makes no sense that the mission says this because Joker never mentioned immortality. As a kid, I agreed because I didn't learn how to think yet. And then I played the game again for this video and realized that literally in the last cutscene with the Joker, Talia tells him straight to his face that they'll give him the gift of immortality. Word for word, bar for bar. So at least in my opinion, this pop-up makes perfect sense unless we pretend Batman has the memory of an elephant with amnesia. I was going to make a dementia joke, but it runs in my family, so I thought it wouldn't be funny. Captain Barbossa heads to the theater, takes out the surrounding snipers, and heads inside where this game hits us with yet another twist. And this one is actually good. Throughout the whole game, something is off. At the beginning of the game, Joker surprises you with the gas mask and he looks completely healthy, but then later you wake up and he looks like a league player on a 20-game loss streak. Or later in the game during the mirror sequence when you confront him for the second time. In the mirror, he looks horrible, but then he turns around and he looks completely healthy. How has the Joker flip-flopped from being completely fine to looking absolutely hideous? The reveal is that there were actually two Jokers this entire time, and one of them was none other than Clayface. He had a small little side part in Arkham Asylum, but here we get to see his true self on full display, and I absolutely love it. The twist is done so well, and one of my favorite parts of it is that it teases it, and in one point of the game, it literally puts the answer right in front of you. When you confront the Joker close to the end of the game, if you turn on your detective vision and look at him, you'll realize he has no bones. Now, if you did this exact same thing to Clayface in Arkham Asylum, you would see that he is also missing his little skelly boy, blatantly putting the answer to the twist right in front of you. I love when games do this, and one of my most recent favorites is in Resident Evil 7. Spoilers for that game, but during your playthrough, a member of the family seems to appear in random places throughout your time in the mansion, and it is later revealed that she is actually Evelyn, the person behind all of this weird voodoo shit, and her designation is E001. A cool reveal in and of itself, but on your second playthrough, you will notice the same photograph of the grandmother. This is normally something you would brush off on a first playthrough, but when you turn the photo around, you see it's marked E001, putting the answer to the entire game right in front of your face, because on a first playthrough, you would not for the life of you know what this means, and it restructures the whole game your second go-around, because now every time you see the grandmother, you know you're being stalked. Now you might be asking, did I bring up the Clayface tease just to ramble about Resident Evil 7? Yes. Yes, I did. A twist can be done well easily, but what I really love is these little details that you notice on a second playthrough after knowing the twist, like the inconsistencies with Joker's looks or the lack of bones in detective vision. And this twist works even better because it doesn't take away from either characters. Making Ra's al Ghul the mastermind behind Protocol 10 takes so much away from Strange's character, turning him from this cool and cunning mastermind into just a puppet for another villain. But the Joker Clayface reveal doesn't take away from Joker's character. It only elevated the story by having Clayface step in as the Joker to keep up appearances. What made it even better is that this twist was actually cool and entertaining, unlike just shoehorning Ra's into the Protocol 10 plot, which really had no build-up besides the League of Assassins tease earlier. The only mystery surrounding Protocol 10 was what the hell it was, and once we figured that out, adding another reveal on top of that doesn't really hit the same, only coming second to the reveal of Protocol 10. A reveal that barely hit well on its own. I mean, just blowing up some random buildings and showing some bodies across the area doesn't hit as well. Enough about that, let's talk about the fun shit. Clayface's design and boss fight are perfect, and it felt like a really good final fight to end the game off with. Clayface in this game is actually fucking massive, and I love the monstrous look they gave him, which mirrors his animated series look, making him look genuinely scary and freaky as shit. His boss fight is a very simple mechanic, requiring you to use your quick-fire freeze grenades to lower his health, and whenever he becomes a ball, you need to trick him into rolling right into 4 batches of explosives, lowering his health enough for you to retrieve the sword on his back and do the coolest shit you can do so far in this game. I'm not even joking, this boss fight is high on my favorites list for the sole reason it allows us to use a sword as Batman, which is just peak quote-unquote we did it because it was cool energy. I also loved how we got to see Clayface use his powers in very creative ways, turning his entire body into a weapon, forming his arms into hammers, and spawning minions from himself to fight Batman from multiple angles. It makes rewatches of the new Fantastic Four movie a little disappointing for Mr. Fantastic fans, especially compared to my absolute GOAT, whose name I refuse to even attempt to pronounce. After this boss fight, however, we get the scene that perfectly portrays Batman and his code.
Are you happy now?
Do you want to know something funny? Even after everything you've done, I would have saved you.
That actually is pretty funny.
I hope you've been paying attention, because the ending of this game was shown to you from the very beginning. I can really see this as a perfect ending to the game. The Joker dying by his own hand is a beautiful way to send off the character. I also love Batman's line saying that even after everything the Joker has done, Bruce still would have saved him. It's almost as if Bruce is admitting how insane he is about the code, and nothing could make him break it, which makes him even more compelling for me. I am sad to see the Joker die though, because he is my favorite Batman villain, and I don't care if that's boring because he's the most famous one. He's my favorite because he's a perfect nemesis to Bruce and his ideals. The Joker as a character is a dark reflection of Bruce. Both had that one bad day, but came out of completely different sides. Two sides of the same coin. They are both eternally locked in this battle to prove the other wrong. The Joker believes that no one is perfect. He believes that everyone is one bad day away from becoming him, and Bruce is a shining example that he's wrong. While Bruce believes that no one is past redemption, and the Joker is right there to prove him wrong as well. The Arkham series has my favorite origin for these two psychopaths, and it happens in Arkham Origins, my second favorite Arkham game. I don't care if you think I'm stupid for that, fuck off, I'm the YouTuber, which means my opinion is right. In this game, Joker doesn't have a relationship with Batman yet. He is just a criminal mastermind messing around, and Batman is in the way to him. Joker freely falls off the building believing this is his death, perfectly happy with it because he's batshit insane, but Batman dives after him and saves his life, literally putting himself between the ground and Joker. Joker cannot believe this. He fundamentally believes humanity is broken, and yet this literal freak of nature saved his life knowing all of the things Joker has done, and after the Joker repeatedly tried to kill Batman. The Joker then becomes so fascinated and downright obsessed with this man because he stands for everything the Joker hates. He stands for hope. Hope that humanity isn't beyond saving, and that what you do or have done doesn't have to define you for the rest of your life. Batman believes in redemption, an idea that the Joker just can't believe exists, because if he did, then that would mean he was wrong, and he was just a crazy person, not a victim. Just a criminal waiting for an excuse. I absolutely loved the Joker in this game. He of course is played by Mark Hamill, who does a stellar job as always. The way him and Conroy play off of each other in this game was a genuine delight, and it was very bittersweet knowing we will never get to experience it again. I also love how they portrayed him as genuinely intelligent, which I feel is missing from some adaptations of the Joker. I really don't like when he's portrayed as this lucky psychopath who just wins because he's random. I think he's much more compelling as a character when he is shown to be genuinely smart and tactical, masking it with his obvious insanity and larger-than-life character. Joker poisoning Batman, forcing him to find a cure to save them both, was a genuinely interesting plot. I just wished it was the focus. Either that or go all in Protocol 10. Like I said in my Dying Light 2 video, when a game separates its story in two pieces, it only stops them both from shining past the other's weaknesses. Something I really did appreciate was Joker calling us throughout the story. It was a nice touch and added a lot to his character, showing his relationship with Batman and fleshing it out even more than it was in Asylum. You can really see that Joker sees Batman as a friend in his own twisted way. Throughout this game, you can see a genuine love for Batman coming from the Joker, and none of that weird yaoi shit you sickos cooked up. You can tell Joker truly sees Batman as family, because as twisted as it is, Bruce is the only person who can see and truly understand the Joker for who he is, which is yet another element I love so much about the dynamic. And towards the end of the story, we see Joker desperate for the first time in this series, literally on his knees scraping what was left of the cure to try and cling on, because at the end of the day, just like any of us, the Joker doesn't want to die. Overall, I enjoyed the story. It's almost never slowed down, and it really felt like we were always doing something to further the plot. Even doing a side quest felt impactful. But of course, I have to mention again how much the boomerang shit annoyed the hell out of me. Joker tells you to find Mr. Freeze, so you find his lair, but oh no, he's not there, and you have to take down an entire room of Penguin's guys before one tells you that Freeze is actually captive at the museum, being held by Penguin, so we have to go save him. But when we arrive, oh no, we can't get in because we have to go and take down 3 jammers located around the museum, and then finally come back to the museum and spend God knows how long saving police officers before we finally free Freeze. I feel like this game could have benefited from being a little longer. Condensing the cure plot into a couple missions and having the story focus more on Protocol 10 would have allowed it to flourish more, I think, and would have stopped it from conflicting so much. It would have also allowed Joker and Batman to team up throughout the story and save Joker's life for a future installment. But other than that, I liked how everything flowed, except just the Protocol 10 ending felt lackluster to me. The Joker ending, however, was really impactful, and it was absolutely incredible that they teased it in the very first scene. It was a wonder to experience and realize after the fact. However, the story isn't perfect, and I think it's honestly one of the weakest ones in this series. Please remember that this is the Arkham series, so something being lower than the others still means it's literally above almost every single other game. I just think having 2 different plots really dragged it down. I couldn't feel as invested in either because I kept thinking about A while doing B, and then B while doing A. Other than that, I really did enjoy the story despite its flaws. But I know some of y'all don't care that much about the story, which, you know, you're a lost loser. However, let's cater to them a little and talk about the gameplay. Pretty much everything was an improvement over Asylum. The free flow system is even more polished and makes every fight feel real and weighty. You can genuinely feel every punch as it cracks the shit out of an inmate's skull. You flow through the fight so well, making you really feel like Batman. Sorry, I had to say it. It's in the contract you sign when you agree to make a video about any of these games. One issue I did have was these free flow combat gadgets, which were almost completely useless. They also removed your combat bonus when you use them, which is honestly worse because the bonus is arguably a better asset to have than one use of a slightly better gadget mid-fight. The system was generally done really well, and I like how they didn't try to go too crazy, keeping it similar to Asylum's while only improving it. The addition of armored enemies and the twins was a really good way to spice up combat more so you don't just turn your brain off and make the combat boring. And of course the combat challenge maps were also really fun. Nightwing and Robin's combat was super entertaining. Their gadgets were mainly plays on Bruce's, which helped them feel familiar and new all at the same time. I mean, it makes sense their combat was good. It's fucking Nightwing and Robin. You'd have to be an idiot to mess up their combat. Something that was improved a lot more from Asylum was the traversal. Holy fuck knuckles, this is way smoother and loads more fun than it was in Asylum. Rocksteady really opened up the map, allowing you to make extensive use of the new grapnel boost that you get after a couple AR challenges. As much as I loved Asylum's atmosphere, it got really monotonous just running around the entire time. If I wanted to get my cardio done, I'd hit up my local femboy. This time around, however, it felt exciting to go around the map. I felt a lot more inclined to explore considering it took me way less time to get from A to B, and the time it did take was much more enjoyable. Our story's not over, however. There's still a bunch of loose ends left in Arkham City that Blastoid has to clean up. First, we make our way to this cure that Alfred airdropped for us. However, it was a trick. It was actually a poison made by the Mad Hatter to kidnap Batman and try to hypnotize him. Batman, however, deploys a technique he learned from Tibetan monks to encounter the hypnosis, allowing him to take down Jervis's men, and then the Mad Hatter himself, allowing us to remove the mask and exit the room. The whole cure fake out was a cool idea. The only problem with it is Mad Hatter is shown in a little tease while you save Vicky Vale. As cool as I think it is, it makes you suspicious throughout the story, making the whole fake cure thing way more obvious. What I did love was the whole imagery of this quick mission. The disfigured mask on Batman's face was an awesome design choice, and overall, including the Mad Hatter in this game was another big surprise. Overall, I give the side mission an 8 out of 10. Our next mystery is these ringing phones that I keep hearing. Picking one up, we realize that it is none other than Victor Zsasz. Every phone we pick up helps us get closer and closer to narrowing his location down, but while we listen, he tells us about his childhood and we piece together a story as we go. After we listen to enough calls, Bart Simpson triangulates the origins of them to a warehouse near Joker's steel mill. When we enter, we see that Zsasz is holding multiple hostages. Well, hostage, and if he sees us, he will unalive them, forcing us to sneak up behind and take him out, putting an end to the cold call killer. Baller side quest name, by the way. Once again, Zsasz steals the show like he did in Asylum, but this time around he's really able to spread his wings and show more of his creepy ass serial killer side. Another incredible side mission, 8 out of 10. While we were stalking Zsasz, however, someone was stalking us. We first meet this mysterious figure in front of the courthouse who tells us that he has been watching us to see if we are ready, whatever that means. However, for those of you with a very keen eye, this isn't the first time you can see this mysterious man. At the beginning of the game, if you look around a little more, you'll see a familiar face, watching. waiting, before he disappears to be met later. He disappears in a cloud of smoke and leaves behind a very weird looking drawing on the ground. We scan the symbol and it looks like it fits over the city in some way. Interesting. We later find him again outside of the steel mill after our first encounter with the Joker. He's watching from atop the Ferris wheel, and when we confront him, he wonders aloud if we are the one the prophecies speak of, before he disappears yet again, leaving us another symbol to scan. We meet him 2 more times, once after feeding Penguin and another after we fight Freeze. After Penguin, he says, "We have been watching you, Batman, for a long time," which, stalker much. And after Freeze, he says the moment is close and that the truth will soon be revealed. After scanning the last symbol, we form them on the map to reveal a specific location, and after going to this location, the mysterious man reveals himself to be Azrael, a servant to the Order of Saint Dumas. He tells Baconator that a great catastrophe will soon affect Gotham and that it will cost Batman a very great deal. Before we can push further, he states that he is just a messenger and that his duty has been fulfilled and he will likely see us again, before he vanishes for the final time in this game. Once again, a fantastic side mission. I love that this mission doesn't have any combat or predator sequences. It's literally just a super cool mystery added in that gets the player wondering who the hell is this dude and what the fuck is a Saint Dumas. I still remember as a kid this being one of the most interesting things in a game I played because it was completely open-ended, leaving it to be solved in night, which I personally really loved. I understand to some leaving it unsolved can be frustrating, but the whole nature of some of these cases is that they can't be solved overnight. Azrael and another man we will see later are very cunning, and it wouldn't make sense for their entire story to be wrapped up so quickly in one game, so it makes perfect sense for the stories to stay unfinished until later. It also helps that Azrael himself looks so damn cool, and even better, he's voiced by Carey Payton, also known as the coolest motherfucker on the damn planet. This man was my childhood through and through, whether it was Cyborg when I was a kid, Calderon when I was a teenager, or this absolute hunk in The Walking Dead. He literally has a pet tiger, it doesn't get much cooler than that. An incredible side quest that leaves plenty of room open for the sequel, while still serving to flesh out the world and give the player some genuine mystery. 8 out of 10. Now the city is littered with a couple of basic do X amount of things to finish. There are a couple political prisoners who you have to step in and save from some inmates. There's the AR challenges placed throughout the city, which gives you access to the Grabno boost, and finally the Riddler, who can fuck right off. You will not catch me dead ever doing a Riddler side quest for any of these videos. While there are some more side quests of note, I want to focus on one last one: identity theft. If there's one thing I love in a game, it's a good mystery, and what better mystery than a serial killer lurking in the shadows within the city. We first find this body with its face completely gone. Scanning the surrounding area, we pick up a blood trail that we follow, eventually finding a political prisoner cowering in fear. Confronting him, he explains that he did see the murder take place, but what he says next is the most shocking part of this entire quest. He tells us the man who committed the crime looked like Bruce Wayne. Completing more of the story later, we come across a second body strung up on the wall, and after scanning the face yet again, we notice multiple parts that lead to the skill and precision of such tactics. And next to the body, we find a scalpel with a fingerprint on it. Scanning this print is revealed to our shock to be an almost identical match to Bruce Wayne yet again. Later we find our third and final victim, with their face removed just like the last two. It is clear that the killer cares more about what they take from the victims and less about what they leave behind, considering we find leftover bleach residue close to the body, which gives us a new trail to follow. Following the trail, we arrive at another inmate trying to wash his hands of the crime. After some interrogation, however, he tells us that none other than Bruce Wayne ordered him to move the body. We prod a little further and get a location to the killer's apartment, and when we go inside, we are faced with one of my absolute favorite Batman villains, Hush. Hush in this game, yet again, looks absolutely incredible, literally ripped off of a page in the comics and plopped into this game. And to some viewers with a good memory, he may even look familiar. Remember that man with a bandaged face I said was very important to Arkham's story? Here he is in all of his glory, and as he removes his bandages, it is revealed that the faces he was stealing were being used to create a perfect recreation of Bruce Wayne's face, and we are forced to watch him leave the room to be seen somewhere down the line. This is hands down my favorite side quest in this entire game, just closely edging out Azrael's due to the mystery of it being even more engaging. The whole mystery around why the fuck does everyone keep saying Bruce Wayne is doing this is genuinely interesting and even gets Batman and Oracle to become worried that maybe Bruce was hallucinating from Scarecrow or put into a trance to commit these atrocities. It was attacking Batman at a mental level, and the best part is that the person really behind these crimes had no idea that Bruce Wayne was Batman, meaning that this whole attack on Bruce's psyche wasn't even planned and just so happened to be the biggest coincidence in the entire game. Oh, and real quick, it happens in this side quest a little like I just said, but in the Deadshot side quest, Lawton has Bruce Wayne and Batman in the same list, and it's gotta be one of the funniest things for me in any superhero medium. I love when the villain has no idea about the hero's identity but still knows about them both. Like when Clark Kent interviews Lex Luthor and Luthor applauds Kent while insulting Superman. It's funny to me every time it happens, so it got a good chuckle out of me when I saw it in this game. I absolutely love how in this game a lot of the better side quests were really detective based while the main story was mainly Batman beating the shit out of some criminals. I still think Arkham Origins did the detective angle the best, but I couldn't help but appreciate that they didn't forget about Batman's detective side and allowed a lot of the more impactful side quests to lean in heavily on the detective angle, which in my opinion is Batman's most interesting trait and leads to some of his best stories. But the Hush side quest was the definitive standout among all the rest, and I couldn't wait to find out where it led. 8 out of 10. Something that I tend to appreciate a lot more as I grow older is character design, an aspect of game development that truly gives each character their life, and this game nails it with every single one. Batman had his signature look improved from Asylum, increasing the fidelity and rounding out the design to look even better than it did in the previous installment. My only gripe with Batman's design over these two games is I love the suit, but I feel the gauntlets and boots are very out of place over a slim fabric looking outfit. And we can see how well a normal spandex outfit would look if we take a look at the 70s suit and Photoshop it a little bit. I by no means hate the suit, it's still one of the best, but I just have that one small gripe that holds it back from being my favorite in the series. Catwoman looks incredible and bad as ever. Same with Poison Ivy, who keeps her signature green skin and fiery hair. Mr. Freeze's design is cold as hell in and out of the suit. And our main villains, not you, look just as incredible as the rest of the cast. The Joker is once again designed perfectly just like he was in Asylum, serving as a perfect contrast to Batman's dark outfit. Something about his design I loved is that he looks a lot more run down and dirty in this game, obviously because of the sickness he's facing, but it's also a really good mirror to the run down and destroyed city we spend the entire game in. Hugo Strange had an incredible design, and every time he was on screen, I felt like I was in the middle of a comic book witnessing an incredible villain face off against an incredible hero. Ra's al Ghul looks homeless. The Penguin and Two-Face are again, and I feel like a broken record saying this, designed perfectly. I love the look of Two-Face's outfit and face, offering a realistic look to his design while still maintaining that split down the middle look. And Penguin's is portrayed exactly as he should be, a perfect 5'10" specimen. A little detail I noticed in the game is that after the beginning, when you break the Penguin's hand, when you see him later in the museum, you can tell that his hand is bandaged, and it even looks a little like a flipper, which I thought was a really nice touch. The design doesn't only extend to the main characters though. The henchmen around the streets bear their boss's identity incredibly well. Two-Face's men wear masks and outfits that have been burned on one half. Penguins wear the Penguin logo in cold wear, while Joker's men dress as clowns and puppets, perfectly mimicking his aesthetic. Oh, and Ivy's men look like the average League player. All of this lends itself brilliantly to a lived-in world, making each area not only recognizable by its scenery and atmosphere, but also by the people, which is how you elevate a game's world above any other. Finally, I want to compare each character to their Gotham counterpart and see which one I like more, and we'll tally up the points or something. I don't know, most of this is off the dome anyway. First up is Alfred. Yeah, I'm sorry, this isn't even a competition. I mean, I love Arkham Alfred, but come the fuck on. This guy stabbed a woman in the hand just to find Bruce. Point Gotham. Next is Azrael. And then Bane. Oh, come on, are we fucking for real right now? Then Batman himself. Oh, okay, Bruce Wayne. I obviously liked the Gotham one more, just because we really got to see him grow into Batman, and the actor, talented as ever, really embodied the split between the Playboy and the Crusader. Another point for Gotham. And then Black Mask, just give Arkham the point. Alright, Catwoman. As much as I like her adaptation of Gotham, I still gotta give the point to Arkham because I think they do her a lot better, at least in terms of the actual Catwoman part. Point Arkham. Next is Clayface. There's no fucking way. Oh, okay, here we go. Hugo Strange. I honestly have to give the point to Gotham. Not only was the actor perfect for the role, we got to see a lot more of him being the sadistic, messed up, insanely smart scientist, and it was a great plot in the show for me. Point Gotham. Shit, here we go. The Joker. I actually can't choose, and I know I'll get some hate for that. If we are talking about Jeremiah, I would put Arkham Joker over him in a heartbeat, but if we're talking Jerome, it's way too close for either of them. They both embody the character in such unique and incredible ways that I couldn't choose either. Point for both. Mad Hatter. This point goes to Arkham, because they really gave him that freak voice, and I feel like his section in this game was a much better Mad Hatter section than anything we got from Gotham. Point Arkham. Mr. Freeze. Alright, Penguin. This one's gonna get some flack. It's Gotham. Like, I don't care how much you love Arkham Penguin, I absolutely loved his portrayal in Gotham, and Robin Lord Taylor stole the fucking screen every time he was on it and played the character masterfully. Even his final suit was perfect. Point Gotham. Poison Ivy was honestly just confusing most of the time in the show, so I have to give the point to Arkham, mainly because in these games she actually looks like Poison Ivy. Point Arkham. There's a lot more, but the last two are the most important to me. Firstly, my second favorite of the show, the Riddler. Oh my fucking god, you could give me $1 billion in infinite time and I still think I couldn't find a better casting than Corey Michael Smith. Never in my entire life did I think the fucking Riddler would become one of my favorite characters in any Batman media, but these psychopaths pulled it off. He was so compelling, and his performance has got to be one of the best Riddler performances for me. I can't think of a single other adaptation that comes close to him. His entire descent into the Riddler was a wonder to watch, and it was so cool to see him genuinely lean into the weirdo Riddler shit from episode 1. And if I see one comment saying Jim Carrey's is better, I swear to God I will lose my shit. Fucking 3 points for Gotham, this shit was awesome. And finally, my favorite performance and character in this entire show. Can you guess what it was? If you've watched the show, you probably already have a good idea on who I'm gonna say next. Victor Zsasz, baby! Hell yeah! Not only is the character made to be way more entertaining and engaging in the show, they picked the one random actor I thought was really cool when I first started watching The Flash. You know how cool it was as a film-obsessed kid to see this small villain actor in a TV show I watched become this mainstay of another cool show I really liked? Not only did he get a longer role, he knocked it out of the park, and if there was one character in this entire show that I had to say truly stole the show when he was on screen, it would have to be him. Also, if he looks a little familiar, he also had a big role in Barry, and also in this small little movie that came out this year called fucking Superman? Yeah, he was Metamorpho. Not only did I enjoy his performance from beginning to end in the show, I got to watch this man's career truly flourish, and it couldn't have made me happier. 800 points to Gotham, baby. I don't give a shit. It's my video, my rules. And I want to leave you all with something before we go. Batman has been shown to be very vengeful, and I think recent media has really focused on just his brutal, cool factor. But we can learn something from this character. He was once just a boy in an alley watching his entire world get taken away, but now he's a champion for good and helps other kids not share that same fate every day. He teaches us that it's never too late for you. No matter what's happened in your life, there's always tomorrow, so never give up on yourself. If no one else has told you this, then I'll be the one to do it. You are all worth life. You are all worth love. Don't ever let yourself believe otherwise. Understand the past, appreciate the present, and look hopefully towards the future. And again, thank you to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Don't forget you can play it for free on Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and mobile devices. You can use the links in the description and pinned comment to redeem the limited time bonus pack for PC and console as well. And I also just want to thank each and every one of you for putting us in a position to get sponsored. It really helps us make better videos, and I couldn't have asked for a better audience. I love you all, and I can't wait to see you guys again in the next video. Also, get up and walk around a minute. This video is an hour long. You need to do that.